Our next guest is a renowned actor. He's a director. He was in a whole lot of shows, in a whole lot of movies. I love him in Gotham Knights. Any Batman fans in the building? But you may know him as the Angel Castiel from Supernatural. Give him a warm welcome, the one and only Misha Collins!
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for getting up early. Oh, that's so sweet. I see you have the severed head of a leviathan in your lap. That's a good morning, howdy do. That's very disturbing. No, it's okay. I think I need therapy now. Very intense. I like your wardrobe over there, your angel wings. Yeah, thank you for wearing that. I'm excited to be here. I don't know if you know this, but your home is very beautiful. Are you aware of that fact? I live in the United States, where it's just 7 lanes of highway, and we have fast food restaurant after fast food restaurant. We have this amazing store called Walmart. Our culture is very sophisticated compared to yours, and our architecture, hello, thank you for waving. Our architecture leaves something to be desired when held up against the canals of Amsterdam. I have been quite impressed by everything. You know, another thing that we have in our country that you don't have, and I'm not trying to brag, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but we have Donald Trump. Which is, you're not fans of Donald Trump? That's so weird. I've been working a little bit on trying to see if it's possible to not have Donald Trump get reelected. It's a little project that I've been working on. We have this funny thing in our country where people are like, oh, but Biden is old. So I don't know. And I'm like, but the other guy has been convicted of 30-something felonies, and he's a clinical malignant narcissist, and he's old. So what's the equation here? But because of all this, I'm going to tell you a little story, and then I'm going to let you ask me some questions, so you don't have to listen to me ramble so much. But because I've been doing this political work, you know, now I'm getting to hobnob with some fancy people, and I got invited. I'm not trying to brag here, but I am bragging. I got invited to the White House this fall. I know. They were very lucky, and so I was invited by the First Lady, Jill Biden, to this very special event. There were not very many people at it. It was like maybe like this many people in the room, and we were celebrating. It was an event that was honoring the musician Wynton Marsalis, who happens to be a musician that I love. And it was also kind of a big deal because this was the first time that Hillary Clinton was coming back to the White House since she had been Secretary of State. And I was also a White House intern when Hillary Clinton was in the White House, like 30 years before. And so it all felt like kind of a big deal. And we're in this little room, and there's a little procession that starts down the hall. There's these big doors that are open, and Hillary Clinton and Jill Biden start walking down the hallway, and we can see through the open doors that they're coming, and everybody stands up. And everybody in the room is famous. Like the person that's sitting next to me, it was one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And the person on the other side had been Hillary Clinton's Chief of Staff when she was Secretary of State and when she was First Lady. And And I see across the room the White House press secretary. And it's a woman that I had interviewed on my Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, there's Kareem Jean-Pierre. Kareem? And I was like, I cannot remember her name. Is it Kareen or Kareem? Because I want to go say hi to her when this is over, but I want to get her name right. And so I opened up my phone while we're standing up as the two first ladies are coming down the hallway. I opened up my phone so that I could Google the White House press secretary's name. And unfortunately, earlier that day, one of my castmates had sent a little video. And the video was a mashup of Republican senators earlier that day reading excerpts from books that had been found in public libraries in order to advance their argument that we should ban certain books. Because that's a thing that we're doing now in the United States. We're banning books that are too tawdry. So this video starts playing. And I'm not trying to brag, but I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it has really loud speakers. And this video starts playing, which I'm gonna play for you here.
I got a new strap-on harness today.
Fisting, butt plugs, analingus, the spit or swallow decision.
I put some lube on and got him on his knee.
And I start panicking. And I press the side button on the phone, and the screen goes black, like this, but
into him from behind.
It was the first time I'd ever touched a penis that wasn't my own. I touched Doug Goebel's dick, and he touched mine.
And now the first ladies are in the room.
And I was struggling to imagine someone inside me.
And I can't get it to stop.
I have your cock in my mouth.
Strap-on dildo blowjobs.
And everyone is looking at me.
The blowjob of your life, then I want
And I drop my phone, and it's still playing. And it played for a full minute. And literally, the two first ladies are in the room now, and they're looking at me, and everyone else is looking at me because it was so loud and it was so profane, and I was completely covered in sweat, head to toe. And I pick up my phone, and I point to it, and I turn to the chief of staff, Hillary Clinton, and I just said, Republicans. Was my only defense. Yeah.
Utrecht, laat je nog even horen voor Misha. Come on, man. Hey, Misha.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, please.
I'm a big fan of your Two-Face Harvey Dent character.
Yeah.
And is it true that you got your kids' blessing to do that show?
That is true. I got my kids' blessing to do that show. The last series that I did was this Batman universe series where I played Two-Face, Harvey Dent, and it was very cool to do. But it was going to film across the country, and it would mean it would be a little bit hard for me to get. I wasn't going to be able to see my kids quite as much as I would normally want to, and I was really wrestling with. I would have definitely, for sure, been like, yes, I'd love to do that show if it was filming in Los Angeles, but it was filming on the other coast. And so I said, you know, kids, there's a show, it's like a Batman universe show, Harvey Dent character, and I've been offered a role, but it shoots all the way across the country, and they said, yeah, go. And I don't think they even knew who Harvey Dent was. I think they were mostly excited about the idea that I would be far away. But they have a way of making me feel really good about myself. I have a friend here, my dear friend, who, Matt Cottom. Matt and I were friends when we were in high school, and we're just reconnecting after many decades. But I was just telling my friend Matt about my other friend, Jason, who is he's the comedy columnist for the New York Times, and he was doing this piece on like there's this weird new phenomenon of stand-up comics who are actually good looking, and that's like a weird thing. And he was doing this thing, and then he was like, well, Misha, he called me to interview me for the piece, and he was like, what's it like to be funny and handsome? And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing, and I'm gonna brag to everybody about this. And then I told my kids, I was like, they just interviewed me for the New York Times about being funny and handsome. And my daughter said, oh really? You used to be handsome? So they do. They have this knack for making me feel good about myself. When I make a joke, they always think my jokes are stupid, and they call them dad slappers. They're like, in the U.S. we have this expression. It's a real knee slapper. It means it's like a funny joke, but they say, oh, that's a real dad slapper, and then they just slap me. That's a dad slapper. Wow. Yeah. So I don't feel safe at home.
Wow, but
Yeah.
I love the story though. Listen, we got some time left, so if everybody wants to line up to ask Misha your questions, please go ahead. Nice to meet you, Matt.
Hi. Who would like to ask? Why don't you ask a question first? Oh, I see. Sneak in at the last minute under the wire there. Very clever. How are you?
I am fine, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. This is an interesting dynamic that we have here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a sort of crotch-eye view. I'm going to back up and cover up. What would you like to talk about?
Well, you make very long days when you're on set,
Yes.
emotional scenes, Jared and Jensen sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep your mind sane?
How do I keep my mind sane?
Yeah.
What makes you think I kept my mind sane?
Well, you're still standing and I don't.
That was a real dad slapper. You know, it's funny because I think working on set, one of the things that happened on the set of Supernatural, which you just referenced, we did have very long days, and we had not just long days, but we had long years. The series that I most recently did, the Gotham Knights show, we only shot 13 episodes, but on Supernatural for most of the years, we shot 23 episodes a season, and that's a long year of filming, and we would often be filming until 4 o'clock in the morning, and because we had lots of night shoots that we had to do to make it feel scary. So one of the things that we did on set a fair amount was mess with each other and laugh and try to find ways to maybe it was gallows humor, I don't know, but we found a way to get through it with humor and I think it would be fair to say also torture. We would torture one another. We had this game that we played pretty much from the first day that I was on set, which is Jared and Jensen would try to make me laugh during my coverage. So when the camera was on me, they would be doing things below the frame to try to make me laugh and try to ruin the take. It wasn't like, there's this expression that they talk about like in acting circles. Like acting is about reacting. You're responding to the person that you're working with in the scene. And if that was true, I would have never captured a single usable minute of footage because all they were ever doing was trying to fuck with me. And there was this one scene where we were in a morgue and This was an episode called My Bloody Valentine. I don't know how I just remembered that. And we're in a morgue, and my character walks up to this gurney, this stainless steel gurney that's sitting there, and there's hearts sitting on the table. And I walk up to the gurney, and I say, I don't remember what my line was, but it was like, we have to find the killer, right? And I walk up to the table, and Sam and Dean are on the other side of the table, and the camera's on me, and I walk up and I'm like, we have to find the killer. And as soon as I land at the gurney, I feel something like press up into my crotch. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I giggle, because I always giggle when some strange foreign object lands in my crotch. And Jared had a broom in his hand that he was operating under the table. But of course the frame is right here. So the camera is just seeing from my chest up. They're not seeing what's going on down there. And the director is in the other room, and we're behind schedule, and it's late at night on a Friday, and he's like, Misha, come on. And I'm like, no, it wasn't me. It was like, man, in my crotch. He's like, just do it again, do it again. And so I come up to the table. The first AD takes the broom away from Jared, so he doesn't have it anymore. And I walk up to the table, and I'm like, we have to find the killer. And Jared does this thing, he always did this. He has long legs, and so he just goes up like right into my crotch again, and I laugh again, and the director's like, Misha, pull it together. And I'm like, well, there's a foot in my titty. And then we do it again, and this time they have put a sheet of plywood up against the gurney so that Jared cannot put anything up there. And I go up to the table, and I'm delivering my line to Jared, who's completely off camera. He's just next to the camera, but I'm delivering my line to Jared, and I go, we have to find the killer. And Jared goes, and I laugh again, and the director is absolutely frustrated with me. And Jensen, luckily, was in the scene, and he says, Misha, just do the line to me. Just don't say it to him. What are you doing? And I was like, oh my God, thank you. I don't know, thank you. And we have to find the killer. And Jensen goes. And it was like that all the time. So part of how we stayed halfway sane is by driving one another insane. Yeah.
So we got about 10 minutes left, so if the next person wants to ask his or her question, we want to have as many people try and ask a question to Misha. Hi.
Hi.
I like your wardrobe.
Thank you. I actually made it kind of last minute.
Can I see your angel blade?
I made it yesterday evening.
I
think you really laid up.
It's girthy. Very nice.
Thank you. So when you were in Ukraine last time, what thing you did or saw had the most impact on you?
In Ukraine?
Yes.
I just got back from Kiev. I guess it's been about a month since I was there. And I was there again 9 months before that. And one of the things that really impressed me the first time I was in Ukraine was the resilience, ingenuity, and determination of the Ukrainian people. Are you Ukrainian?
No, I'm Dutch.
Okay. The conventional wisdom from the West is that Russia's army is 10 times bigger, and the population is 3 times bigger than Ukraine's, and that eventually Russia will just grind Ukraine down. And when I got there, and when I saw that everybody that I met in Ukraine was sleeping 4 hours a night and was working as hard as they could to contribute whatever they could to the war effort, it became clear to me that the Russians were up against an incredibly formidable foe, and I left thinking, there's no way the Russians are going to win this war, because I've never seen such determination. And ingenuity. I mean, people have just been innovating all over the place, coming up, building like this army of drones that has never before been seen or used, and using like really interesting tactical approaches. But when I went back this time, it was a little different. One, it's been US support had faltered for some time because of our Republican Congress,
and that really had an impact on the war. But also, everyone was they're still determined and they're still unified behind a common mission. But everyone is exhausted, and everybody has lost someone, and it's heartbreaking. And the impact that it had on me was to just strengthen my resolve to continue to do everything I can to support Ukraine. But it's heartbreaking to see. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yes.
Next question.
Hi. A few years ago, Osrik, who plays Kevin, Trent in Supernatural, was here, and I asked him the same question. If a unicorn would appear on the stage right now, what would you do or say?
What would I do or say?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that this is going to offend some people, but I would slaughter the unicorn. Because, as you know, those horns are incredibly valuable. And I would fashion jewelry from it for myself. Also, if you ingest the powder, like if you pulverize and consume the powder of a unicorn horn, it makes you rock hard for weeks. So, Osric Chow, we call him Master Chow. Do you know this?
I know the story.
Okay.
But Jared.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell the story anyway, even though you already know it. So we were in the green room at a convention, and Jared had had a few drinks, and sometimes Jared he's like a puppy, and he likes to wrestle, and he came into the green room, and Jared is he's 6'4", and he's, very muscular, and kind of terrifying. And he came into the green room and he's like, "Who wants to wrestle?" And I was like, no, not me. I don't want to wrestle. Avoid eye contact. And Osric, who's like this tall and weighs about 130 pounds to Jared's 220, he's like, "I'll wrestle you." And everybody's like, "Osric, no. And Osric's like, "I got this." And Jared's like, "Okay, let's go." And Osric just climbed up on him like a spider monkey, got on his back, choked him out, and Jared went down within 30 seconds. And he fell onto a coffee table that was made of marble, and we thought he dislocated his shoulder. And then Cliff and Tomo, Tomo is huge. He's also like 6'4" and really muscular. Tomo's like, "You've dislocated your shoulder. Let me pop it back into place." And so he went like, and it turns out the shoulder was not dislocated, it was broken. So, yeah. Anyway, we still call Osric though Master Chow because of that. Yeah. Thanks. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
My question is, do you think there will ever be a supernatural movie?
I do think that there will be a supernatural movie. Because the robots are going to take over, and AI will make a supernatural reboot. I'm in the middle of something over here. So yeah, I had a conversation with Eric Kripke not too long ago about a supernatural movie, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe. And I was like, I pitched him an idea, which I thought was a really good idea for a movie, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't think I want to do that, but if we do a supernatural movie, I think it'd be cool if it was like so gruesome and violent that it made people feel sick." And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds sweet. So who knows if there will be one or what the tone or tenor of it will be. But I think it will definitely have like some, it has to have a motif that runs through it about retirement communities. because the cast is now so old. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Let's try and get the last 2-3 questions. I got 3 more minutes.
Okay, fire it away.
So you've spent a lot of time backstage in Supernatural. I just wanted to know, what is your favorite moment backstage then?
My favorite moment backstage? I'm sure I don't have an answer to that, but the first thing that comes to mind, in the very last scene of Supernatural, where my character makes his declaration of love, but also more or less dies, it was, sorry, spoiler. Now you don't need to watch it. It was a very emotional scene, and it was a very emotional goodbye. And the stunt coordinator, Rob Hader, saw that I was off in the corner of the stage, back in the dark, where the props are all stacked up, where there were no lights, and I just pulled up a chair and I just sort of tried to stay in my mindset for that scene. And he saw what I was doing, and he just stood like a sentinel. He stood guard about this far away as I am from you. He just stood there like this and made sure nobody came and bothered me. And on set, there are people whose job it is to wrangle the actors to come up and say, hey Misha, we need you on set in 5 minutes, or hey Misha, they're ready on set, ready to do last looks, hair and makeup, whatever. And Rob Hader, the stunt coordinator, saw that I needed space. He never talked to me about it. The people whose job it was to come get me, he just stopped them. And he was like, I got this, which I think is a violation of union rules. Like, he was actually probably in danger of getting some fine from IATSE or something. But he just took over, and he then, like a little sensei, came up and he was like, Misha, we're ready for you. And just like whispered it to me, and then guided me so that nobody would talk to me to the set. And it was something that had never happened in 12 years on the show. And somehow he just intuitively knew that I needed that little bit of buffer and a little bit of help to maintain the sanctity of that scene, which was actually very emotionally impactful to me. And that was just a beautiful moment back behind the scenes, I guess, and also a lovely goodbye to the show for me, to have it in that cocoon of attentiveness. Yeah.
Thank you. Misha,
Yes.
I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap it up, but maybe make it real quick. We got 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. What would you change about your wardrobe from Castiel if you had any chance?
Give me that head. This is what I've been having. This has been in the front row, staring at me the whole time. So if I've seemed like nervous or uncomfortable, it's because this fucking thing has been looking at me the whole time. You're a very disturbed individual. What was your question?
What would you change or add about your wardrobe from Castiel?
For Castiel? So when I got on Supernatural, I thought I was doing 3 episodes. And so I went in to the fitting, and they gave me this suit. It was supposed to look like Constantine. In the script, it said a rumpled suit like a tax accountant with a trench coat over it, a la Constantine. It said in the script. I'm sorry. I know.
I'm okay though.
So, people dress up as Castiel, and it's kind of cool, right? So, I was in my hometown, out to pizza. It was Halloween, and I was out with my kids, and I saw a kid dressed up as Castiel across the pizza place. And he was sitting at this little booth with his family. And I went up from behind him and then leaned over in front of him, and I was like, hey, little boy, what are you dressed as? And the dad stood up. And the kid was like, Constantine? It was mortifying. I almost got punched. So I went into the fitting, and they put me in this suit, and then I put the trench coat on, and And then I was like, well, it doesn't really fit or anything. I didn't say anything because I was just like a new guy on the show, and it didn't really fit at all. But I was like, whatever, it's just a couple of episodes, it doesn't matter. And then 2 years later, I go back into the wardrobe department and I'm like, hey guys, I don't want to be a pain, but this really doesn't fit. And I took off the trench coat and showed them that I was like, I was in a shirt that was maybe like 4 sizes too big. Like I had to fold the back every day when I got in, like fold it up like this and tuck it into my pants. Otherwise, because it just didn't fit at all. And they were like, why the fuck didn't you tell us? You've been wearing like 5 sizes too big this whole time. So I would have had it fit, for starters. I would have thought about it a little bit. You know, they didn't tell me that it was going to be 12 years. So many things. I would have changed many things about it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you all for squandering your Saturday with us. It's so lovely to be here. I might see some of you taking photos or doing autographs, or maybe committing acts of vandalism later. So, nice to see you. Bye.
Dutch Comic Con has wrapped us up the right way. Dutch Comic Con, make some noise once again for this show! Thanks. Hoe vonden jullie dat?